Anyway, let's get to Prince Andrew. James, look, all seems to be the right thing now, but where were these people before he opened his mouth?
Well, I love the guy who was his advisor, who basically quit, I think, before the interview, because he said, this is a really bad idea. You are not going to perform well there. I don't know. They went to the BBC. What did they think it was 1950 that they were going to be deferential? Like the interviewer, had to show that she hadn't given him a hard time, an easy ride. He would have been brighter not doing it in Buckingham Palace. He would have been, well, brighter just to be a little bit brighter. But, he's a true descendant of George III. He's just not that bright. I've just tried doing a bit of a count back on the fingers how many we've got between him and the throne. And, we've got William, Charles, William's kids, Harry's kid. So I think we're probably all right, barring some dreadful calamity. We're not in danger of having him on the coins. So the rest of the time, I think as you're right, he'll probably just sit there, and not doing very much for the foreseeable future. Look, he's not the first no good Nick member of the royal family who's got himself into trouble in this space. It's just his misfortune, and the misfortune, I suppose, of our fortune and his misfortune is that in the era in which he's operating, it's not a deferential era. This was always going to end this way for him in this time and place. He's not, as I said, he's not the first member of that family to carry on like that.
Sure, I get it, but again, Bronwyn, it is terribly sad. I feel for the Queen. I think smart asses who try to pretend that this is some sort of tangential link to why republics matter, blah, 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 blah. He's been a spare parts royal for a very long period of time, but whatever good he has done has sort of been piddled away by his own actions for some time now. But Bronwyn, again, let's deal with the central question. Great that he's going to be effectively not to be seen again in official capacity for quite a while, but where was this decision before that interview? Nothing has changed.
Well, I suppose, Paul, if you look at the whole of the Epstein question right across the board, you ask yourself the same question. Where are the question of the Clintons, who are part and parcel of this whole messy scenario as well? The bottom line is that there were stories about, there were allegations made, there were no prosecutions, nothing was happening until this interview, which was an absolute train wreck. He listened to nobody. The arrogance of the whole giving of the interview in the way he approached it was just mind-bending. He has no option but to withdraw from public life. And that means that would include the patronages that he gave. I feel enormously sorry for the Queen. I feel very sorry for the girls who were involved, but involved with who? And all the other people who have been mentioned. I feel very sorry for his daughters. He's got one being married next year. I just feel that the behaviour and the whole Epstein saga has yet to be unravelled. I think there's much more behind.
Well, and the truth is, that about that Epstein saga, that we should tell you, of course, yes, there has been some charges that have been laid against the two prison officers who fell asleep. There's an FBI investigation that continues into what happened and all those other connections. But obviously tonight is just that specific pinpoint focus in and around Prince Andrew. I want to get onto other things, but look, I just think that as important as lots of things are here in Australia, what people will be talking about around barbecues, Nick, if we're allowed to have them in no-fire days. Anyway, however we gather over the next few days, it'll be, geez, what about that bloke?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for decades to come, people are going to go back and watch that BBC interview with Prince Andrew because it was monumental in terms of how bad it was. Every public relations student, every politician and certainly every future royal will be made to watch it in terms of what not to do. I mean, it wasn't just a train wreck. It was like an airline crashing into an oil tanker, which then set off a tsunami, which caused a nuclear reactor to explode. Like, it was just so bad. I mean, he showed no empathy for the victims of Epstein. He showed no remorse for his relationship with him. In fact, he even defended it. And then he broke the golden rule of public life. Never get caught in a provable lie. So when you say, I never display public affection to anyone, you can guarantee that as one of the most photographed people in the world, the next day the tabloids are going to splash with multiple photographs of you with your hands all over women. When you say, I never wear those clothes, they're just casual clothes, I would never wear them out, the next day, yes, they're going to have photographs of you in those clothes everywhere. He said he didn't sweat. They show the photos of him sweating. Like, it just goes on and on. It was a total disaster. So you say what changed? Well, yes, you're right. There was no material facts that changed, but he got exposed to all of Britain for what he was. The sponsors behind the royal charities said they were going to pull their money. The firm stepped in, the Queen stepped in, and he's gone.